After finding out I was pregnant, Joel asked me for a divorce. I asked him why. He said he had gone on a date with a minor celebrity, dinner and a movie, and had a decent time. You like her so much? I asked. Not really. I just realized I don't like you so much anymore. Chapter 1. When I found out I was pregnant, I was overjoyed, laughing and crying at the same time. I thought Joel would react the same way, but he stayed silent. He stared at me for a while and then asked, "Are you sure?" Sure. Of course I was sure. After realizing my period was 2 weeks late, I went to the hospital right away. The blood test confirmed it, pregnant, without a doubt. After hearing what I said, Joel stayed silent again. His second silence made my heart sink. After a long while, Joel clicked his tongue in annoyance. "Let's get a divorce." What? I stared at him in shock, thinking I had misheard, but he seemed relieved. "Get rid of the baby, and we'll get a divorce." My hand trembled uncontrollably. In a hoarse voice, I asked him, "Why?" Joel's gaze was distant, and at that moment, he looked at me like I was a stranger. It was suffocating. He said, "The company just signed a new minor celebrity. She's 20, still in college, pretty, full of energy. The first time you called me and said you needed to talk, I was at the movies with her. It was a romance movie, kind of boring, but she kept chatting, so I didn't fall asleep." At that time, I had just left the hospital, carrying the huge excitement with me, and called Joel, eager to tell him the news right away. But he lowered his voice and said, "I'm busy, we'll talk later." Turns out, he was at the movies with someone else. Thinking back, it had been a long time since we'd gone to the movies together. Because Joel was busy, because Joel had no time, and mostly because Joel didn't like it. My fingers dug painfully into my palms. He continued, "Later, when you called again to ask me to come home early, I was having dinner with her, at the restaurant we used to go to often, but this girl has quirky tastes. She recommended things we never usually order. To be honest, it wasn't that great, but it was okay to try something different once in a while." At that time, I had already been waiting for him at home for 3 hours. No calls, no messages. I wasn't sure if he would come back or when he would, so I called him again. He said, "I'll try." I waited another 3 hours after that. "I'll try." I had made dinner, 1 meat dish, 1 vegetable, and a soup, still sitting on the table. I had planned to eat it with him when he got home. It seems unnecessary now. I felt cold, a chill that spread from deep within my bones. But Joel wasn't planning to let me go so easily. He continued, "That girl is still waiting in the car for me." Honestly, before I came back, I was debating whether to take her home or go to the hotel like she suggested. "Joel," I shouted, glaring at him with eyes filled with fury. But what could I say? My mind was in such chaos that I couldn't form a coherent thought. In the end, all I could do was ask him, stunned, "Did you cheat on me?" Joel calmly shook his head. "No, but I thought about it." "You like her that much?" "Not really. I just realized I don't like you that much anymore." Chapter 2. Those words hurt more than anything else. I could barely breathe. Joel, concerned, moved toward me. "Are you okay?" I backed away, as if terrified. "Don't touch me. Ava, don't touch me." Joel froze, his face darkening. He pulled a cigarette from his pocket, ready to light it, but then hesitated. It frustrated him so much that he crushed the cigarette and threw it in the trash. He said, "Ava, don't do this. I didn't mean to hurt you. I was planning to find the right time to talk this over with you. But this baby, it's just not the right time. We're not even 30 yet. There's still so much time ahead of us. Spending it all like this feels pretty pointless." I turned away, numb. Joel grabbed my hand. "Where are you going?" My body trembled uncontrollably. "I need to think." "Joel, let me think this through." Chapter 3. In the bedroom. I wrapped myself tightly in the blanket. Cold. It was so cold. I'm pregnant. We were finally going to have our own child. At that moment, I had cried tears of joy. Just a year ago, Joel had held me and told me he wanted a daughter. He wanted her to look like me, but have his personality. Of course, It's fine if she's like you, calm and composed. I'll never let anyone bully the two of you. But now, he's saying this baby isn't coming at the right time, and he wants me to get rid of it. Just thinking about that made me shiver to my core. Joel said he didn't love me as much anymore. I had sensed it. I've seen how much he loved me before. So, when that love started fading, I was the first to notice. He got busier and busier, and we spoke less and less. Sometimes, when I shared stories from work or funny things about life, he would just respond with a simple Nothing like the full attention he used to give me. There were days when we barely said a word to each other. I felt disappointed, but when he occasionally joked around and hugged me, asking me for a kiss, I thought maybe I was overthinking things. Maybe that's just how love is. Once it reaches its peak, it slowly fades. Whose marriage doesn't go from passionate to calm and ordinary? But in the end, we'd still be together. That's enough. Turns out Joel didn't think that way. He thought spending a lifetime like this was boring. In a daze, I thought I heard knocking at the door, followed by a soft girl's voice. I couldn't make out what they were saying. Suddenly, Joel's words from earlier came to mind. I sat up abruptly and rushed out of the bedroom. The bedroom door slammed against the wall with a loud bang. The two people at the door turned to look at me simultaneously. The unfamiliar girl was wearing a fitted t-shirt and skinny jeans. Her hair was in a simple bun, and she was, indeed, pretty. Is this your wife? Shut up. Hee hee. She's not as pretty as me. I said. Shut up. The girl stuck out her tongue. All right. Don't be mean to me. Joel looked at me with a heavy expression, but his words were directed at the girl. Go back first. I'll have someone come pick you up. The girl wasn't happy. What? Didn't you promise to spend the evening with me? Joel's lips pressed into a straight line. He was annoyed. He said, be good. The girl clearly sensed it. She looked at me, obviously not pleased. Suddenly, she stood on her tiptoes and kissed Joel on the cheek. Haha. I'm leaving now. Love you. The girl came and went like a whirlwind, leaving Joel and me standing in silent confrontation. My mind drifted. So, this is the kind of girl Joel likes now, youthful, energetic, fun, and bold. Or maybe he's always liked this type. I remembered when one of his friends once asked him, Ava is so boring, quiet, and dull. What do you even like about her? Back then, Joel had said, when someone isn't even my type, but I still love her. Isn't that true love? I had only heard the second half of the sentence at the time, but now, for some reason, the first half stood out to me. Have I never been his type? Is that what he meant? At some point, Joel had walked up to me. Why aren't you wearing shoes? What if you catch a cold? You should. Joel. I interrupted him. I agree. To what? The divorce. I agree. Chapter 4. Divorce. What do you need to do to get divorced? Go to the Civil Affairs Bureau. It's too late to go today, but we can go early tomorrow. They open at 8, so we'll leave by 7. Then what? What else do I need to do? Oh, right. This house belongs to Joel. I'll have to move out. The house is under my name, so I'll need to transfer the deed. But I can start by packing my things. The small apartment I made the down payment on is probably covered in dust. I can hire someone to clean it. I wonder if they work at night. I should call and ask. And the moving company. I'll need to find one too. Where's my phone? I walked from the living room to the bedroom, then from the bedroom to the dining room. Joel frowned and grabbed my arm. What are you looking for? I shook him off. Where's my phone? I can't find it. Have you seen it? Joel picked up my phone from the corner of the sofa and handed it to me. I opened the dialer, but I didn't know the number. Right. I need to check online. Check. What was I supposed to be looking for? Ava, what are you doing? I turned to look at Joel, dazed. His expression was complicated. A mix of emotions, sadness, maybe even concern. But maybe I was imagining things. He was probably just annoyed. Suddenly, all the energy left me. It's too late today. I'll come back tomorrow to move my things. Where are you going? A hotel, I guess. I went back to the bedroom and quickly packed some essentials, a change of clothes, toiletries. When I came out, Joel was still standing there. He was staring intently at what I had packed. "You don't have to do this." I didn't say anything and walked toward the door. Joel clenched his fists. "You stay. I'll go." Joel left. Where he went, I didn't know. From the time we got married until now, aside from business trips, Joel had never spent the night away from home. He said he wasn't used to it. Even when things got cold between us, it was the same. He might come home late, but he always came home, no matter how bad our arguments got. We never slept in separate rooms. Once, I got so angry that I went to the guest room. Joel didn't say a word, but the next day, when I came home from work, I found the door to the guest room locked. The key and the spare were gone. Men are logical. Women are emotional. Women rely on those tiny little details. I always thought love was hidden in those details, quietly nourishing the relationship. But it seems like I'm the only one who remembered them. That night, I tossed and turned, wide awake until dawn. I thought about it a lot. I went through all 10 years of my relationship with Joel. From the day we met until now, it felt like going through a death. At 6:30 sharp, I got up. By the time I finished getting dressed, I heard the sound of the door opening, followed by some quiet shuffling. Knock, knock, knock. "Are you up?" I bought breakfast. It was Joel. His voice was low and hoarse, the way it gets when he hasn't slept all night. When I came out of the bedroom, he was staring blankly at the coffee machine. When he heard me, he turned his head. "Do you want coffee or, never mind? I'll get you some warm water." He rubbed his temples, clearly frustrated. I stayed silent. From the table full of breakfast items, I picked a bowl of pumpkin millet porridge. The cramping pain in my stomach slowly eased as the warm porridge went down. I asked Joel, "Are you free today?" "Why?" "Let's go to the Civil Affairs Bureau." Joel paused for a moment. "There's no rush. We haven't even prepared the divorce agreement yet." "Divorce agreement? There's no need for that." "Is there? I'll transfer the house and the car to you. Other than that, we don't have any complicated financial entanglements." But Joel suddenly let out a cold laugh. "Are you planning to leave with nothing? You don't need to rush things. Since I'm the one who asked for the divorce, I won't let you suffer financially. And besides, there's the child." Those two words felt like a taboo. The moment he said them, I threw the bowl of porridge across the room. "Don't worry. I'll get rid of it." Chapter 5. Yes, that's the first problem we need to solve in the divorce. A fertilized egg. Joel and I started wanting a child around the 3rd year of our marriage. It was during the spring festival, and we had gone back to his parents' house along with many relatives. Everyone was gathered, some playing cards, some chatting. I couldn't really fit in, so I sat with the kids, keeping them entertained. There was a little girl, barely 2. In the midst of a language explosion, I held her for a while, and suddenly, she started calling me mommy, refusing to change it no matter how much I corrected her. Joel found it amusing. "Well, look at that. A free daughter on New Year's. How lucky." That night, when we got home, he suddenly said to me, "Let's have a child too." And so, we started trying. At first, every month we were full of anticipation. But every month, we were disappointed. We even went to the hospital for checkups. The doctor said everything was fine, that we should just relax and let it happen naturally. For a while, I was really anxious about it. Joel comforted me, saying, "It's fine. We haven't had enough time for just the 2 of us yet." This child came unexpectedly, after we had hoped for so long and then stopped hoping altogether. I wasn't even ready, and it's a good thing I wasn't. Joel accompanied me to the hospital. He was firm in his decision, and I didn't have the strength to resist. So I went along with him. After all the tests were done, the doctor asked if we were sure we didn't want to keep the baby. The word "sure" was stuck in my throat, unable to come out. In the end, Joel answered for us. "Yes, all right. Then I'll schedule the procedure for 3 days from now." I clenched my fists. "Can't we do it today?" Both the doctor and Joel turned to look at me. The doctor said, There's pre-surgery preparation required. You can't eat for at least 6 hours beforehand. And since it's a surgery, it's important to rest well before the procedure. Then let's do it tomorrow. I'm free in the afternoon. Are you sure? I'm sure. While the doctor was explaining the pre-op instructions to me, Joel quickly stood up and walked out. I'm going for a smoke. When I stepped out of the clinic, he was sitting on a bench outside, elbows resting on his knees, hunched over, looking defeated. When he saw me, he wiped his face with his hand. Sit for a bit. I'm going to ask the doctor a few things. I stood outside the clinic. The thin door didn't block the sound. I could clearly hear Joel's voice. Will this affect her health? Will it hurt? Chapter 6. I've never been afraid of pain. In fact, I handle pain very well. Before I got together with Joel, when I was still in college, I once fell down a set of stairs onto a pile of gravel. My arms and legs were scraped all over, covered in large patches of blood, pretty gruesome to look at. I disinfected the wounds myself with iodine. Then I went back to moving things for the event. Honestly, it didn't bother me much. But when Joel found out, he was upset. You're a young woman. If you're in pain, just say something. If you're hurting, cry out. Who wouldn't help you? Why be so stubborn? He told me, you can be vulnerable. At least with me, you can. Over time, I changed. When I broke a bottle of soy sauce, I'd tell Joel I messed up. When I bumped my knee, I'd tell Joel it hurt. When I felt lost, I'd ask Joel which way to go. I used to be fearless and unbreakable, but he confused me, then broke me down. When I returned to the office, I asked for 2 weeks off. My boss hesitated. 2 weeks is a long time. Is something going on? I didn't know how to explain. Later, I thought about it. Then I'll quit. At 28, I quit the job I had worked at for 7 years. I didn't like the job, but it paid well. I never had the courage to leave. But once a bottle cracks, I just want to shatter it completely. I didn't move out of the house. Joel did. He didn't show up. His secretary handled everything. Secretary's son and I knew each other fairly well. She said, honestly, it's just that little star being delusional. Joel only went to a movie and had dinner with her. Nothing else happened. It's not that serious. I shook my head. It's not about that. It wasn't about what Joel did. It was about what Joel no longer wanted to do. Joel was handsome, came from a good family, and was capable. People like him always attract others. It's been this way since college. Those who pursued him, those who got close to him, were never few. But Joel rejected them all completely. He never gave anyone a chance to get close. That's where my sense of security came from. But now, he's taken down that barrier. So, you see, no one cheats alone. One person is only able to get close because the other person sends out signals, I'm available. Joel didn't have many things, but it wasn't a small amount either. When all his things were cleared out, the house felt so empty it was unsettling. I forced myself to sleep, but that night, I was half awake, half asleep. The next morning, I left at the agreed time. Joel was standing by the door. I didn't know how long he'd been there. He said, I'll go with you. Chapter 7. Joel's mother arrived in a whirlwind just as I was about to enter the operating room. She was usually the picture of elegance, always poised and meticulous, a true lady of the upper class. But now, her hair was messy, and she was visibly upset. She sharply questioned us. What on earth are you two doing? Joel's mother had never been fond of me, but she never insulted me, never kicked me out, and never glared at me in anger. Instead, whenever she spoke to me, her face was always adorned with a polite smile. She used her refined language and calm demeanor to subtly convey her disapproval and rejection of me. That's what you call condescension. This was the first time I saw her react so intensely. Joel was clearly unhappy. Why are you here? Joel's mother clenched her jaw. If I didn't come, would I just let you continue with this nonsense? I know what I'm doing. Don't interfere. I don't want to interfere. But look at what you're doing. If I hadn't accidentally found out, were you really going to hide it from me and get rid of the child? After all the effort it took to get pregnant, why are you aborting the baby? Joel said, because we're getting a divorce. Joel's mother suddenly looked at me, then turned to Joel. Did you ask for this? Yes. After a long, tense silence, she erupted. You were the one who insisted on getting married. And no one could stop you. Now you're married. And there's a child on the way. And you want a divorce. What about your love? What about all that love you kept talking about? What a heartbreaking question. What we once fought so hard to protect. Others didn't care at all. Love? What's it worth? And now, it seems, it really isn't worth much at all. Joel could no longer hold back his frustration. This is ridiculous. When I wanted to marry her, you didn't approve. Now I want a divorce. And you still don't approve. What is it? Do you only feel like good parents when you oppose everything I do? At any other time, Joel's mother would have turned around and left after hearing that. But today she held back. Joel, you've always been reckless, and I've let it slide. But Ava is carrying your child, and you're just going to say no like it's nothing? Joel let out a sneer. Are we really going to elevate this to the level of life? It's just an embryo, an unformed seed. Let's not be dramatic. Joel. Both Joel's mother and I spoke at the same time. She looked at me. I spoke up. Enough. I'll get rid of the child, and we'll get divorced. You don't have to act like this. Meeting Joel's mother's eyes, I continued. I'm sorry to disappoint you. Joel's mother took a deep breath, her energy deflating. I can't interfere with your decisions, but as parents, we always hope you won't have regrets. If you go through with this, once the child is gone, it's truly over between you two. Chapter 8. 10 years. It's been 10 years since Joel and I met. He was the one who pursued me, and he worked hard at it. I had to mentally prepare myself for a long time before I agreed to be with him. The truth is, Joel and I come from two different worlds. There's a chasm between us. The first time we crossed paths was because of a game. Confess to the first person who walks through the door. In that game, Joel was the main character, and I was just a random participant. At least, that's what I thought at the time. It wasn't until much later that Joel told me. I didn't plan to join in, but then I saw that the first person who walked through the door was you. And so, he came. He took 100 steps toward me. He said, Ava, you don't have to move. Just don't step back. When he was pursuing me, he said that once. The second time he said it was when he was fighting against his family to marry me. Ava, don't step back. You don't have to move forward. Just stay where you are. As long as you're behind me, I'm okay. I'm afraid that if I turn around, there will be nothing there. He always knew. I was the one who kept holding back in this relationship. I pretended to be noble, always ready to leave, but in reality, I was just scared and cowardly. I didn't believe that Joel and I had a future. I didn't believe we'd be together forever. To me, it was just a moment of indulgence, a fleeting desire. It was Joel who pulled me forward, step by step. He led me to open my heart and love him without reservations. If, before marriage, Joel loved me more than I loved him, then after marriage, it was me who loved him more than he loved me. My love was growing, but his love was diminishing. Joel's mother said what she needed to say, then left without looking back. I lay in the hospital bed, eyes open, staring outside, watching the sunset and the night slowly fall. Joel, yeah, is the divorce agreement ready? Yeah, give it to me so I can sign. And the surgery, let's do it tomorrow morning. Okay. Chapter 9. The surgery was over quickly. Once I was back in the hospital room, Joel asked me if it hurt. I shook my head. It didn't hurt, but it was cold. Something had been taken from my body, leaving a hollow emptiness. It gave me a sense of desolation. I curled up under the blankets and slowly drifted off to sleep. In my sleep, I felt someone hold my hand, then place something in it. When I woke up, I looked. It was a hand warmer. You're awake. Are you hungry? It was Joel. He was sitting in the chair next to the hospital bed. I didn't know how long he'd been there. You don't have to stay with me. I can check myself out of the hospital soon. Why the rush? Stay for 2 days for observation. No need. 2 days for observation. I've already. Joel. I interrupted him. This is my business. When we decided to end this relationship, We should have started fading from each other's lives. Of course, we'll still have moments of contact, like when we sign the divorce papers, like when we go to the Civil Affairs Bureau to file for the divorce. Joel gave me a lot. The car and house under my name were still mine, and he gave me a large sum of alimony. I looked at it for a long time and didn't refuse. I signed my name. Joel tugged at the corner of his mouth. This is the first time you've so easily accepted something I gave you. Because I was an orphan. Because I grew up poor. My sensitivity to money was much sharper than most. I was self-reliant and frugal, never accepting anything from Joel. If he gave me something, I'd always return something of equal value. This had been a major source of conflict between us, because he didn't understand, with our relationship. What's the problem with me spending money on you? Why do you always draw such clear lines? Are you afraid of owing me something? Or do you just not want to owe me? Eva, do you even love me? Of course I loved him. But when a person has extreme pride in one area, it's really just insecurity. I was afraid people would say I was just using Joel to climb higher, and I was afraid Joel would think I only cared about his money. I clumsily did things to try to make our relationship more equal. I could accept what was mine being his, but I couldn't accept what was his being mine. Maybe the fact that we ended up here wasn't entirely his fault. The day after signing the divorce agreement, Joel and I went to the Civil Affairs Bureau together. We didn't talk much. As we were about to part, Joel asked, "Have you not been eating properly? Why have you lost so much weight?" I stayed silent. He added, "Eva, no matter what happens, I just want you to be okay." I gave a faint and then flagged down a cab to leave. I was relieved Joel didn't ask more questions, like why I wasn't driving myself, or why I was wearing glasses. I wasn't doing well. Insomnia, sleepless nights, no appetite, unable to keep food down. I knew I couldn't go on like this. I forced myself to sleep. I listened to stories, songs, white noise, and eventually started taking sleeping pills. I forced myself to eat, but eating too much made me sick. I didn't want Joel to know. I was too much of a mess. Chapter 10. I didn't expect Joel's mother to visit me. When she showed up with a thermos, I was in a daze and didn't react right away. Joel's mother frowned and asked, "What's going on? Are you sick?" My hand tightened around the doorknob. Joel's mother had already stepped inside and placed a hand on my forehead. "No fever. Where are you feeling unwell?" I shook my head and pulled away. "Just didn't sleep well." "Why are you here?" The place was a mess, with takeout boxes still scattered on the dining table. Joel's mother acted as if she didn't see any of it. She sat down with the thermos in her hand. "I made some soup. Drink a little." I felt a surge of irritation. This was a kind of treatment I never received when I was with Joel. So why do it now? Wasn't this unnecessary? I didn't want to see Joel, nor did I want to see anyone related to him. So why do they keep showing up in my life? My silence made her pause. She asked, "Do you want to talk?" I grew even more irritated. "No," but she continued anyway. "Life is long, Eva. Family, friendships, love, everything comes in phases. I didn't approve of you two being together, but you got married, and things were fine. Some people said I misjudged you, but even when you two were at your happiest, I still had doubts. Eva, maybe you never realized, but every time you came to our house, your eyes were always glued to Joel. You didn't cling to him, but you didn't stay far away either. It was as if there was a string between you, with Joel pulling it and you holding on, afraid to let go, but also too scared to get closer. All right, please stop." I interrupted her. I didn't want to hear this, but she shook her head. "I'm not saying you're at fault. I'm just thinking. Everyone knows you love Joel. Joel knows. And you know, but even in this situation, you're still suppressing yourself." When Joel asked for a divorce, I wondered, now that Joel has let go of the string, what will you do? I clenched my fists, my nails digging into my palms, and my arms trembled from the tension. "I need to rest. Please go home." Joel's mother stood up. "Eva, your marriage to Joel is just a small part of your life. If it's over, it's over. You have to move forward. You're a good person, and I hope you take care of yourself." "But that's not true." Joel and I met when I was 18. Now I'm 28. 10 years, an entire decade. That's nearly half of my life. I have no family, no friends. My life is so fragile. If you take Joel out of it, there's barely anything left. I depend on Joel. I knew it from the moment I realized I loved him. I want to see him all the time. I want to be in constant contact with him. I want to know everything about him. I want to be wherever he is. I know that's wrong, so I try hard to suppress it. I can't be jealous or suspicious. A healthy relationship requires space and boundaries. I wanted to be the perfect girlfriend, the perfect wife. I wanted to be financially independent, emotionally independent. I needed to be able to hold on and to let go. So when Joel asked for a divorce, I agreed. I couldn't beg or cling to him, that wouldn't be right. After the divorce, we had to keep our distance. No contact. No meeting up, that wouldn't be good. I used logic to suppress my instincts. I did a good job, but I'm so cold. This empty house, this endless night, it's suffocating. Before I met Joel, I walked through life alone, but only I know how terrified I am of being by myself. Chapter 11. I couldn't sleep again. The sleeping pills were gone. I took a bottle of liquor from the cabinet. I just wanted to sleep well, but when I opened my eyes again, I was in the hospital. After a few seconds of confusion, I realized I'd made a mistake. You're awake. I'll call the doctor. Joel stood up to leave, but I grabbed his hand. What's wrong? I said. I'm sorry. Joel's muscles tensed. The moment I loosened my grip, he suddenly squeezed my hand tightly. His eyes were red, his face haggard. Eva, what were you doing? If I hadn't called and rushed over, if I hadn't found you in time, do you know you could have died? How humiliating. I had kept my composure for so long, and in this moment, it all shattered. I could only repeat over and over, no, it's not like that. I couldn't sleep. I just wanted to get a good night's rest. The after effects of alcohol poisoning were terrible. Dizziness, nausea. I couldn't even sit up. I could only drift in and out of sleep. It felt like I kept saying sorry to Joel over and over, and it also felt like I kept explaining over and over that I wasn't trying to kill myself. I really wasn't. I just couldn't sleep. Joel remained silent. Later, it seemed like someone lay down beside me and held me, and it felt like someone said to me, "There's no going back." After that incident, Joel and I didn't speak again. I didn't ask him why he had called me. It was as if nothing had ever happened. When I got home, I threw away all the alcohol and didn't buy any more sleeping pills. I couldn't keep going on like this. I couldn't do this anymore. The first night, I stayed awake until morning, then forced myself through the day. When night fell, I couldn't hold out any longer and slept. I slept until 5 in the morning. I got up, planning to go out and buy breakfast. But when I got downstairs, I saw Joel's car. It was a complicated feeling. I paused for a few seconds, then turned back and went upstairs. There were still instant noodles at home. I could eat those. At noon, Joel was still there. In the afternoon, Joel was still there. I called him. Can you leave? He was silent for 2 seconds. I'm leaving. I tried to adjust my mindset, but in the end, I found that the best way was to exhaust myself. If I was tired enough, I'd fall asleep naturally. During this time, Joel didn't show up again, and neither did his mother, but I still felt uneasy. I knew I wouldn't be at peace until things were truly over. Finally, the 1-month waiting period was over, and we needed to get our divorce certificate. We walked into the Civil Affairs Bureau together, and walked out together. Looking at the divorce certificate in my hand, I finally let out a sigh of relief. As I turned to leave, Joel called out to me, "Eva, yeah, take care." Those were the last 2 words Joel said to me. Chapter 12. After receiving the divorce certificate, I sold the house and the car, and left the city. I came from a small town, and now I am going back to that small town. From now on, those people and those events would have nothing to do with me anymore. Extra chapter, Joel. Joel's mother once asked him, "Are you crazy for divorcing over some minor celebrity? Don't you realize she's only after your money?" Of course, Joel knew. He definitely knew. So, he laughed it off indifferently. She's after my money, and I'm after her looks. Isn't that fair? It's so much easier to pay for things. Dealing with emotions is too exhausting. These words undoubtedly angered Joel's mother, and she slapped him. It was the first time his mother had ever hit him. But Joel wanted to say, that slap was well deserved. Joel wasn't sure when he first started feeling tired. Loving Ava was exhausting. Joel knew that Ava loved him, but Ava was like an old-fashioned water pump in a rural village. You had to pour in a priming cup of water to draw up the endless supply of sweet, clear water from below. Without that primer, no matter how hard you tried, it would be in vain. Ava was like that. When they were dating, if Joel didn't reach out, Ava could go on forever without taking the initiative. At first, Joel thought Ava didn't like him. Then one day, he noticed that Ava's phone was always open to his contact page. Her eyes glued to it, but she never pressed the button to call. As long as Joel was around, Ava's gaze would always follow him. When he showed Ava affection, her eyes would fill with love and dependence. At first, Joel enjoyed it. He was in control. He led the relationship. He stirred Ava's emotions, but Joel got tired too. Sometimes, he wished Ava would take the initiative. He thought getting closer to Ava would fix things, like becoming husband and wife. But he was wrong. He could clearly feel that Ava loved him, but Ava would rather wait for him at home until midnight than pick up the phone and call him. She didn't interfere with his plans. Even when he forgot their anniversary or missed her birthday, it didn't seem to matter. If Joel was even slightly cold when they spoke, Ava would immediately retreat into her shell and stop reaching out to him. At first, Joel felt exhausted. Then he started to feel irritated. He began to dislike this version of Ava, and eventually, he didn't want to deal with her anymore. Chapter 13. Yes, what had once been spontaneous now felt like a chore. Until that little celebrity started flirting with him. It was clumsy and obvious. But to Joel's surprise, he responded with a smile. Afterward, he thought about it for a long time. He suddenly realized that he didn't like Ava as much as he used to. He wanted to test it, to see if he truly didn't love Ava anymore. If it was true, should he go through with the divorce, or just stick it out? To be honest, Joel hadn't figured it all out yet. That day, he went on a date with the little celebrity, dinner and a movie. It was fun, but that kind of fun feels like when there's no traffic on your way to work, when you don't run into any idiots at the office, or when your coffee is brewed just right. It was superficial, but superficial happiness is still happiness. Isn't being happy the most important thing in life? So, Joel agreed to the second date with the celebrity, but life has a way of throwing unexpected surprises. Ava got pregnant. At that moment, Joel felt frustrated. All the things that had happened recently, all the unanswered questions, tangled up in his mind, and the only clear thought he could grasp was, if there's a baby, getting a divorce would be complicated. Was he really ready to just live out his life like this? No, so the baby couldn't stay. But if he asked Ava to get rid of the baby, they would definitely end up divorced. Fine, let's get divorced. If you asked whether Joel's decision was partly out of a sense of giving up, the answer would definitely be yes. The clock was ticking, and the knot he couldn't untangle, he decided to just cut it. But later, in the middle of the night, in those moments when you lie awake, Joel often wondered if he regretted saying those words the second they came out of his mouth. That feeling gnawed at him, especially when Ava went to have the abortion. His mind echoed with countless voices, you should stop her. You should try to fix this. You should call it off. Like his mother had said, if they lost the baby, they'd be truly done. Chapter 14. But his body didn't want to do anything. What would happen if he stopped her? Would they just pretend nothing had happened? He couldn't do that. And Ava certainly couldn't either. Ava once bought a box of oranges because someone said they were sweet and juicy. But when she tried them, she found they were incredibly sour. A little sourness wouldn't have been a big deal, they were still edible. But thrifty Ava threw them out without hesitation. Joel asked her why. She said, if I don't throw them away, I'll feel awful. Do you get that feeling? I expected them to be one thing, but they weren't. And if I don't get rid of them, I'll keep feeling miserable. At first, Joel didn't understand. Then later, Ava cut off her only friend. The reason? Her friend, upset after a breakup, lashed out at Ava and said some hurtful things. The next day, the friend apologized and clung to Ava, saying, "Let's just laugh this off and forget about it, okay?" Ava smiled awkwardly and seemed to nod, but her friend never managed to get her to hang out again, and Ava never reached out either. Joel thought that keeping up the appearance of peace was still possible, but Ava shook her head and said, "Once some things are said, they can't be taken back. I just can't go back to how things were. It's awkward, so it's better to cut ties completely. Call me petty if you want." Joel knew that with Ava, once she made up her mind, there was no turning back. When he said those words to her, he knew Ava would never want to see him again, and just as he expected, from that day on, Ava's eyes never landed on him again, and she tried to avoid talking to him whenever possible, let alone trying to hold on to or plead with him. Ava just couldn't do it. But his mother told him, "Keep an eye on Ava. She's not doing well. Don't let your recklessness ruin her." Joel thought his mom was overthinking it, but he still couldn't help calling Ava. One call didn't go through, and the second one wasn't answered. Joel panicked. He rushed back to the house, trembling as he entered the door code. When he saw Ava unconscious in the living room, his regret hit him harder than ever. So what if he didn't love her as much anymore? Just because the love had faded, did that mean they couldn't stay together? Chapter 15. Ava woke up in the early morning. She said only two things to Joel. "I'm sorry. It's not what you think. I just couldn't sleep. I only wanted to get a good night's rest." She repeated herself over and over. Her sorry wasn't because she felt she'd wronged Joel, but because she felt like she was being a burden to him. As for the second sentence, it seemed she was terrified Joel might misunderstand. In that moment, Joel felt a deep sadness. How had they ended up like this? But his mother told him, getting divorced now might not be a bad thing. Joel didn't understand. His mother explained, "If today you can go on a date with someone, tomorrow you could end up in bed with them. That's how it goes. Once you lower your standards, it's easier to do it again. If you can part ways on good terms, it's better than waiting until things get ugly." Those words made Joel feel ashamed, but at the same time, he felt defiant. He thought he was just trying things out. He had self-control. He wouldn't take it to the final step. He was just confused about some things. It was that the baby came at the worst possible time. When he figured things out, Joel suddenly couldn't finish that sentence. How would he figure things out? By chasing a sense of novelty with someone else? Joel kept replaying everything in his mind, over and over. It seemed like the moment when Ava was the most heartbroken wasn't during the miscarriage, but when she saw that girl flirting with him. In that moment, he became like those oranges, ones you expect to be sweet but turn out sour. So Ava had to throw him away. Otherwise, she would be in constant pain, day and night. After Ava left the city, Joel went through a period of indulgence, nights filled with drinking and fleeting pleasures. But soon, he lost interest. It was all so pointless, so boring. He once went to Ava's new city just to catch a glimpse of her. She had opened a cafe bookstore that was open 24/7. She had hired an employee, and she lived in the small loft above the store. He only took a quick glance, too scared to go inside. Once, he overheard the employee ask her, "Boss, don't you feel uncomfortable living in such a small loft?" Ava smiled and said, "I like being around people." Joel felt a pang in his chest. It wasn't a sharp pain, but it was hard to bear. It took several deep breaths to calm himself. He knew that Ava didn't actually like being around people. She was just afraid of being alone.